Hello and welcome to Exploring with Em and Stu.
And today we've come to the beautiful Norfolk coast, where we're going to be taking you for a little look at some more of the anti-invasion defences that were built all along here during World War II. So, following the retreat from Dunkirk in May 1940, with Poland, France and the home counties already having been invaded, we were pretty certain that the UK was going to be next. And so what followed was the biggest construction of anti-invasion defences that Great Britain had actually ever seen. So General Edmund Ironside, who was the Commander-in-Chief of Home Forces at the time, was given the task to have to plan and construct all the defences that they thought would be needed to try and protect all the vulnerable coastlines of Great Britain. Now, unfortunately, having retreated from Dunkirk with almost no resources at all, he really didn't have an awful lot of option as to what he could do. So he had to basically build fixed defences, which wasn't ideal, but really he didn't have an awful lot of choice in the matter. And so, in a matter of pretty much just weeks, tens of thousands of pillboxes, gun emplacements, fixed defences, anti-tank blocks were constructed all along the coastlines here, particularly on the east coast here at Norfolk. And it's some of the remains of these anti-invasion defences that we're hoping to take you for a little look at today.
And there you have it, with a little bit of information from her, as per usual.
So, as I was saying about the invasion crisis of 1940, now if you've watched our previous videos where we've actually covered quite a lot of the Suffolk coast, particularly around areas of Lowestoft and Corton, we did quite a lot of information about that. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Edmund Ironside and what he did as the Commander-in-Chief of Home Forces, then you can check that video out and pop a little link below.
Okay.
But we're actually heading to Hayesborough, where there's quite a few defences still left along here, despite the coastal erosion being quite determined to destroy as many of them as it can. There's still a few left here. And we're predominantly going to be showing you pillboxes, hopefully some spigot mortars. We've got actually quite an interesting pillbox that I'm keen to look at because I've never actually seen it before. As well as one of the reasons we wanted to come to Hayesborough, to show you one last pillbox. And there's a good reason as to why we were so determined to come this year to show you that pillbox. That's it. Which you'll see towards the end of the video, hopefully, if we get that far.
And last time we were here was 5 years ago.
It has been a long time, hasn't it?
It's been a long time ago. That's it. But obviously 5 years ago we came here and went down one of the tunnels. Now I'm getting old and podgy. I'm not going to get down there now, but I'll probably end up sending Emma on a next video, I reckon. What do you reckon?
Well, that's talking about one of the particular defences that they have along here. Something that we're not going to overly concentrate on today, but you'll know what we're talking about when we get there.
Yeah.
So let's have a look for our first pillbox, and then we're just going to walk along the coast and see what else we can find. And so here we have the first defence that we're going to show you. And of course, as you probably know, this is a pillbox, but this is in fact a type 22 pillbox, one of the most common ones that we actually come across. But this one's slightly different because it actually has some adjustments made to it, which we can show you a little bit better when we get around the other side. So just coming from the doorway that is in the east of this pillbox, I've actually come around the back because, like I said, it's a bit more interesting around here because this is an unusual pillbox, and the fact that it appears to have had two doors, but it didn't. This is in fact the original door, because this used to defend the coastline, and of course you would have come in here and the loopholes would have been looking out over the coast. But sometime later they actually decided to build a coastal battery here, which we're going to show you in a little while, and this was then adapted to in fact defend inland. And so the loopholes, as you can see now, have been adjusted to look out over the actual land, and it was built to protect that coastal artillery battery that we're going to show you in a little while. But like I said, this is a little bit strange. It's got a few adjustments. It's got some bricked up loopholes. I mean, this isn't the usual sort of stepped loophole that we see, but if you look very closely, you can see the steps are actually still inside. And another rather interesting fact about this particular pillbox is that sometime after World War II, during the Cold War, they did in fact build a ROC post, Royal Observer Corps post, just in the grounds here. And they used the roof of this pillbox as the lookout for that. So there you go, there's a few little interesting facts and features to show you of this pillbox, but we've got many more defences to show you. So I'm going to head back towards the coast and show you some of them. I'm just leaving that pillbox behind us just to the north there, but we've actually got a really interesting remnant here. And again, those of you that might have watched our videos in the past will know these are actually spigot mortar pedestals, and I really love these ones because they're actually probably some of the biggest ones I think we've ever come across. Now if you don't know what a spigot mortar was, they would have had a mobile mortar gun that they would have carried around with them, and it would have been mounted on the top of here. Now of course these are not in situ anymore. They've been moved from elsewhere. You never would have had two of them together like this, no doubt. They would have probably been spaced out along the coast. But we've got several of these. I think there's probably at least 4 or 5, maybe even more of them. They've just been dumped here really behind the gun emplacements. But I'll put a little picture in just to put it into context as to what these would have been used for. But I just think these are really quite incredible, and you find them just dotted around in the middle of nowhere, just like this. And of course we couldn't come to Hayesborough to show you the World War II defences without showing you the emergency coastal gun emplacements here. And this is probably the most significant remnant, I suppose, of the defences that were built along here.
Yeah, it is.
And they're quite close to the edge now, so we're not too sure how long they're going to be here. But we have in fact made a video of these in the past.
Yeah, we have.
Which we'll pop a little link in for that if you want to look. It's a bit old, it's not very good.
No, it's our old stuff, really old.
We are hoping to return. But of course we wanted to show you. Now these are actually 2 identical gun houses that would have housed 4.7-inch guns. But they're artillery guns, so they would have been predominantly looking for sort of ships and things like that, wouldn't they?
They would have done.
But there was many of these scattered all along the coastline, well, of this part of Great Britain, certainly, once upon a time. And these are actually a fairly rare sort of remnant. There's not too many of these left now.
No.
But like I said, we'll be back in the future to show you better. But we're going to continue now along the coast because we'll get, like I said, we've got 1 or 2 rather interesting things to show you. And we're hoping that we can find them. So let's go.
So we've just carried on up from where we see the gun emplacements just at the top there. We're walking along the coastal path and we've come across something rather interesting.
That's it. Now, because of course there would have been other pillboxes that would have been dotted in between this and that, believe it or not, because this part of the coastline was absolutely scattered with them. Sadly, a lot of them have either been demolished by the farmers who of course were giving back the land after the war. But we've actually got a rather unusual remnant just here. Now, I can't say that I've actually ever seen one of these types of pillboxes here in Norfolk before. This is in fact a machine gun post. It's quite an unusual one. Some say even slightly rare. But this would have been a medium machine gun that would have been obviously mounted in there. And I can only assume, having looking at where the loophole or the opening is, that it would have probably been protecting the gun emplacements over there, or quite possibly the radar station that was here, because just slightly inland we did in fact have a chain low radar station. Sadly it's not very accessible anymore, but we've got some quite nice drone shots that we're going to include just to sort of show you what we mean. But yeah, this is really quite unusual, and it's quite exciting to see it sort of just sitting here still amongst the overgrowth. But this is probably the only machine gun post I think that is left along here now. I think the others are actually just type 22 fairly standard pillboxes, but we're still going to take you for a little look to see if we can find them.
So we've just left the gun emplacement there, the light machine gun emplacement.
Well, I think it was a medium machine gun emplacement, supposedly. That's what we've read anyway.
That's it, but we're actually walking on a previous video landscape, aren't we? Where we've done the caravans, the old abandoned caravan park. This is the old Norfolk pathway. They have actually re-diverted it, but we're coming along the edge. Reason being we're coming along the edge is because I don't know if you can see it very well in the camera, but we have a pillbox just here that has fallen into the sea, haven't we?
That's it. And just as I was saying down there, quite a lot of these pillboxes have unfortunately sort of succumbed to the bad coastal erosion that we've got along there and fallen off the cliff, and this was one of them. And I'll see if I can get a closer picture for you, maybe even a picture of it when it wasn't in quite such a bad state. But yeah, unfortunately, eventually that's going to just be broken up and just be little lumps of concrete, isn't it?
It's just going to be broken up like every other pillbox that we've seen. But it is quite nice to be walking along the old caravan site, isn't it? What we did before.
Well, actually, we did a video of these old abandoned caravan site about what 6-7 years ago now.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Even though it wasn't a very good video, it turned out to be our most successful views-wise video that we ever did.
But I will show you. I know it's nothing to do with war, but as you can see here, all here is where all the old waste pipes from the caravans, and they're all poking out of the side of the cliffs.
Yeah. There's so much more of this is gone now since we were here. You can see why they decided to close it off, and they have actually relocated it just to the back of the village.
Just over here.
So
we have got a couple of remnants just over here, actually.
That was the old reception.
That's it, yeah.
But sadly, this is all going to succumb to the coastal erosion one day.
It is,
As you know, if you live around this area, it's quite prolific around here.
It is.
Sadly.
But it's interesting still to be revisiting after 5 years. I actually went for a bad hairstyle moment at that time, didn't I?
Well, that was pointed out by quite a lot of our
viewers.
It was,
yeah. I went for a very, very bad hairstyle moment. But we're going to carry on now. We're actually going to get to one of our last places, not last place, but one of the most interesting places. We're just heading along now, and we'll see you when we get there.
So we just walked through the village of Hayesborough and out the other side, and unfortunately looking at the quite severe coastal erosion here, it's really sad how much of this village has been lost and is still being lost. But one of the things we wanted to show you down here is another thing that's sadly being lost. But before that, we're going to show you something that isn't quite being lost and hopefully won't for a few years.
Well, actually, while we're on the thingy now, I'm going to turn you around and I'm going to get Emma to show you. And it's actually a really nice view because you've got the old lighthouse there and the pillbox just situated underneath it. I think that's going to make a nice picture.
That is actually, yeah. Of course, the iconic Hayesborough lighthouse that everybody knows about. I mean, this has been photographed and Instagrammed so many times, but just to the east of it there, we've actually got another one of our pillboxes that we've been on the hunt for. And I'm not too sure if this is a 22. It looks almost like a 26 from this angle. Maybe I should have checked my notes, but thankfully this should be here for quite a few years. But sadly, we're not able to show you any closer than this because it's in the middle of a farmer's field. But we thought as we're passing by, we sort of should show you that again, this chain of defences that joined up the entire coastline is still scattered all along here. And so we're leaving the lighthouse with our pillbox behind us, which was a Type 22. I just checked my notes. And this is actually one of the reasons that we actually came to Hayesborough, was to look at what I'm about to show you. Because as I keep on saying about the coastal erosion here, is quite devastating. And if you just take a little look, we've got a little lonesome Type 26 variant sitting here. But if you come a little bit closer, you'll see actually the reason why it was so important to me that we actually came to take a look at this year. Because sadly, I think if we leave it until next summer, there's a good chance it may very well likely not be here. And it'll succumb, like so many of these pillboxes have, to the sea. And before you know it, it'll be sat on the sand, smashed to bits. But we're going to take you for a bit of a better look at this one, because this is actually one of the reasons we do this channel, is to show you history before it gets lost like this. Like I said, inevitably it will be lost in the near future. So I don't think there's an awful lot to show you, but I'll still take you for a little look inside. And here we are, one of the smallest pillboxes I think that we've probably ever been in, but still quite poignant to part of the defences of the coast with its, well, it's got 3 loopholes that look out over to the coast from all different angles there to the south, and of course with the others looking directly out to sea and north. And if we just show you the loophole that's to the north here, then you get a real sense of how these kind of worked with their arcs of fire sort of covering each one, because if you look through there you'll actually see one of the other pillboxes, the one near the lighthouse. And the way that these sort of worked was that they were supposed to cover the entire coastline. So they're sort of arcs of fire, usually sort of you can see them one from another. And again, there would have been another one just to the south here, but And of course we've got a little loophole here. I guess that defended for if there was any sort of landward attacks as well. But you know, sad little pillbox, because I really don't think this is probably going to be here for much more than maybe not even another year, if the rest of the coast has got anything to go by. But there we go. So I think we're going to meet up with Stu and we'll have a quick chat before we say goodbye to you.
And here comes Emma out of the little tiddly little pillbox,
Yeah,
which was quite cute actually.
I said, I think this is actually documented as a Type 26, but quite a small one.
Yeah.
But unfortunately the weight of it means that the coastal
just gonna-
erosion is actually worse just in front of it. And it's actually leaning already slightly towards the coast, isn't
That's
it?
it, yeah.
And
It's
we've
a
got
shame.
quite nice stepped loopholes here. As you can see, these would
Yeah.
have had shutters on them at some point, and this one is
Sorry
sort of,
about my shadow, everyone, but the sun's in the wrong direction.
well, it's this time of the year, isn't it? Revetted in brick. Again, something that we see more so in Norfolk than we do in Suffolk is this sort of the brick sort of, well, I call it revetting on the outside of it. But like I said, there's a reason why we wanted to do Hayesborough, and that really is because of this little pillbox here.
That's it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a bit of drone footage actually. So we're going to cut the video right here and then we'll be back to you in a little while. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that drone footage that we've just done of the corrosion that's happening with this pillbox. It's very sad to see.
That's it, and like I said earlier, this is one of the reasons why we wanted to come to Hayesborough, to show you not only some of the other coastal defences, because
That's it.
this is actually full of quite a good amount of remnants along here, but this poor sad little pillbox, which I do believe if we come here probably in the spring will very likely not be here anymore.
That's it.
Which is a bit sad, but we're really glad that we've been able to document it, and hopefully we've done it some justice so that when it is lost, it'll still be documented for the future.
That's it. Another little sad thing, this is the last video of the year. We hope you have enjoyed this. We've really enjoyed our day, haven't we?
That is, it's been really nice to get back out there again,
That's
doing
it.
some exploring videos.
That's it.
Because we've not had too much time just lately,
That's
as you
it.
may have noticed.
And if you are a patron, you know exactly how the ways and means that we had to get here this week. But saying that, if you're interested to become a patron, it's only £3 a month and you get loads of exclusive content.
That's it, and all that will be in the link below, so please check that out. And of course, if you want to see a little bit about what else we've been doing up here, our Great Escapers, we've been doing plenty of things for that channel. Again, it's all going to be in the link below.
That's it. And also, if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe.
That's it. If you like military explores, we've done Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex,
That's it.
Kent, we've done plenty
done
of
it all.
military videos, so check out the playlist. It will be somewhere at the end in
That's
a
it.
thumbnail, no doubt.
But as from Exploring with Em and Stu, for this last time, and happy Christmas.
That's it, and hope you have a wonderful new year, because that's when we'll see you next. But here from Hayesborough, before the sun sets, we hope you've enjoyed looking at some of this with us, and we'll catch you again, no doubt, in the new year.
See you later.
Bye for
Bye-bye.
now.